Hi, everyone, and welcome to 21 Healing Journeys. You know, back in the day when I lived in Eretz Yisrael, we would sit out on the park bench and we would talk. And these days, I don't really sit out on a park bench, but I do definitely love talking with the women. And there's something so amazing, which is that in some shape or form or another, we are all on a healing journey. Things are shifting in this world in such a dramatic way, so that when I see someone, I just know they're in the middle of something huge. You just can feel it, like, whoa, Hashem, you're doing it. So I'm sitting here with my dear friend, Shoshana Steiner. Want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So
Yes,
excited
it's
to be here.
awesome. Thank you for being here. Sorry to interrupt you right there. But I will tell you what our plan is. So we were thinking about how coaching school is coming up in just 1 month, and how the blessing of working with this coaching school is that we get to experience women's healing journeys up close. And so we have begun a campaign, 21 healing journeys, where you are going to meet 21 women just like yourself, hear a little bit about them. And our hope is that you'll find a little piece of yourself. You'll find a piece of chizuk. You may even decide to come to coaching school. You may even get a little coaching right here while you're listening to this recording. So Shoshana is our very first woman over here that we're introducing you to, and off we go.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Shoshana?
Yeah, so as Rivka Malka said, I'm Shoshana Steiner, and I do live in Baltimore. So I've known Rivka Malka way before this amazing journey. And so besides being a wife and a mother, I am a doula, which is a childbirth coach, and a childbirth educator as well. So for many years, I was thinking like, oh, what should I call what I do? And I call it Embracing Birth. So Embracing Birth Maryland, just because it's based in Baltimore, Maryland. But it actually doesn't have as many boundaries as it used to, because as a childbirth educator, I can teach online on Zoom now. So it can
Oh,
spiral out, and it really has. We've had like a whole group of people from all over, from Detroit, from New York, from New Jersey, from Florida, from Israel, just from all over joining in on the classes. Um, so part of my journey was figuring out like, what am I going to call this name, this company that I want to
yeah.
do? And it evolved slowly but surely. So I called it Embracing Birth. And the reason I called it that is because birth is a process which, as much as we'd like to plan it, and as much as I give tools for, let's talk about your birth plan and how do you see yourself, in different environments in the birth, and what are your choices, and, just educating and giving the tools to the parents, it really is encompassing of the whole birth process. And a big piece of that is becoming the family that you're becoming. Whether it's your first, your fifth, your 10th child, each one brings a new dynamic, and it's encompassing their journey. And part of that is becoming a family. So whether it's a first child, a fifth child, a 10th child, it doesn't matter. The dynamic of the family is adjusting and evolving. And I really see such power when the family is united in the coming of a birth. So just starting from a young couple, probably the most amazing piece of it is that the husbands don't really know where to put themselves. And,
Yeah.
it's very clear that we have to address the challenges that the mother, this young mother, might have. Fears of birth. It's a brand new experience. She's never done this before, all the things that go into it. And the father is kind of on the side a little bit, and they're kind of like, my experience was that I was born. That's their experience. And that's pretty much it. And they have to figure out, how do they fit in as a husband, but not only as a husband and as a new father, just as a person. They are watching and witnessing this beautiful process, which can be scary for them. So for me, like, embracing birth was like really embracing everyone that's involved in the birth story, extended
Mm,
family, whoever's there. So yes, we address more, the mother and what she's going through, the physical, psychological, physiological
incredible.
process, but there's so much more. And to me, I just found that there was a place that was really needed for that, in our
Wow.
community and the world at large. Men are a lot more
Yeah.
involved than they were, in the whole process. So it's a very special thing.
I love hearing you talk. It's so much fun to see how you've evolved with this, taking it from a doula passion to just a lot of wisdom about how families work, how birth works. Like it, everyone is connected in the experience. It's not just happening to a woman. That is so, so amazing. And it took probably a lot of guts for you to evolve this into what it is now, to go from your regular doula training and then to spread so far. Um, could you talk about that? Like, what changed or grew inside of you that allowed you to grow your business and to
Mm,
grow your mission?
yeah. So first of all, I have to take pause for a second to really thank my family. It is not easy to be married to someone who's on call and to have a mother who's on call. A lot falls on my family, and I'm very grateful. Sometimes it's frustrating for them, but I do my best to recognize it. And at the end of the day, they're like, "Mommy, we know you're doing a really special thing." I kind of
Mm,
like say sometimes Hatzalah members the same thing, like they have to leave in the middle of a Shabbos meal. They have to just get up and go. And that's happened so many times for my family where I'm just like, okay, guys, y'all know what to do. I'll see you soon. Pray for a healthy outcome and just get up and leave. So I just want to be grateful to them. So how it evolved was just slowly but surely. I took a little doula course, a volunteer doula course that one of the local hospitals held. And then I've always been passionate about birth. Like as a teenager, I would read birth books. I know it was kind of funny, but I was just like so fast, like, wow, there's a human that comes out of a human. And I was just so amazed. I think there was something so much bigger that was calling me there.
yeah,
So as I became an adult and had my own children, like fast forward several children in, I finally had the opportunity to become a doula. And after that, I saw like I was able to connect with people and now there's a term holding space. Now I know what I was doing, but I was naturally giving that space because I recognized the huge thing that was happening for them. And I was just empowered to be a part of it, but also honored. I was so honored to anytime there's a birth experience. I'm like, oh, good. Okay, got another client. It's not like that. It's like, wow, thank you for inviting me to such an intimate personal space. And I really appreciate that. So I think that honestly, like that comes from my heart. And I think that people pick up on that. And I'm
yeah,
there, like, there's a business aspect of it, but it wasn't driven on, oh, how can I make more money? It was definitely a passion business that it developed from a passion. And I'm grateful to say, that I can go to work with such a happy heart because I love what I'm doing. It's such a
mm,
gift.
mm,
Yeah, so it evolved from that. And then I think naturally, because I was an elementary school teacher for many years, the next logical thing was to become a childbirth educator. If I'm
yeah,
already, interacting with the couples and the families, the next
yeah.
thing was to teach them all about this stuff, not just to show up for the birth, but to really give them the tools and the skills and whatever I've gained over the years, but to have proper training with that. So that
Yeah.
developed. And slowly but surely, it does branch out to other things because, people call me a few years later, hey, do you have a good playgroup number? Or like they're calling me
Right.
because I was their first contact becoming parents. It's like, let's ask
Yeah.
her. Plus, thank God I have a large family. So they figure I'll have resources. And if I don't have
Yeah.
the answer, I'll figure out how to get them the answer. So
I'm
yeah, it's
glad
kind
you
of,
said that because when I hear you talk, what jumps out at me is that you are passionate about the family, not just about birth. Like birth is maybe the vehicle, but I heard you talk about the husbands. I heard you talk about your own family. And I do know that families come to you. I've recommended you. And there's something about family that you are passionate about, giving the family the support that they need.
yeah, thank you.
So yeah, does that resonate with you?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it's funny because I have one quick funny story to share about that. So there
Yeah,
was a couple
yeah.
that was interviewing a few doulas and I said, I always encourage them, interview the person that you feel will guide you the best. And I've worked on myself, like I won't be offended if someone doesn't hire me. It's like, who do they feel best will support them? So it happened with this young couple. It was so funny. They felt comfortable enough that after they said, oh, we're gonna go with your friend doula, but can we come for a meal for Yom Tov? I was like, sure. And I was like, to me, that was like, it was such a funny moment at that time. Like,
Yeah,
wait, they're not my client, but can they come for a Yom Tov meal? And
yeah,
I was like, that's awesome. They feel comfortable
yeah.
with me in a different way that they felt comfortable saying, hey, we just met you, but we don't have local family. Is it okay if we join you for a Yom Tov meal? And I thought that
Uh-huh.
was beautiful because
Oh
it
my
just
gosh,
showed
I
that they
love it.
connected with me as a person. And that to me was the ultimate, like it just showed that they cared to connect. That was amazing. Yeah.
That's an awesome story. It's like it speaks right to what you really, really want. Like you're really in it for the people. I love it. Oh my gosh, Shoshana. We're so lucky to have you in this school. Here's a little background. Most of the women we'll be interviewing, I met them when our healing journeys passed, but when our healing paths crossed. But Shoshana and our children have been friends for many years. And Shoshana, you've known about the coaching school for many years and also have been building up your own mission, so to speak. So what finally made you jump into the coaching school and how does it speak to what you're doing?
Yeah. Thank you. So first of all, I always wanted to be a part of it. It was always just like I was drained and I was pulling so many directions. And I wanted to. And I kept thinking I wasn't ready, not from a personal level, just physiologically, like, okay, I have a lot of little kids and now they're a lot older, but I still have little babies. And I just had to figure out how am I going to make this work? And I knew that I wasn't ready to take on like the full juggle. And honestly, I think in myself, maybe truly, I wasn't quite ready to be like, okay, what am I all about? I was kind of in function mode, which is another thing, like that postpartum healing is a big piece because I was a lot of times postpartum and I didn't have that time to catch up with myself. So fast forward to the birth of my 10th child, it happened like in smack in the middle of COVID. She was born in January. And you were hosting this amazing, possibility, like you were out to help the world. And it's like, name your price. So I was able to do a little bit at a time. I realized I was like, if I look at the dates, I was literally 2.5 weeks after birth. And I only started foundation. I remember I was listening to one of your recordings and I was falling asleep nursing. And I kept bobbing my head. I'm like, I hear what she's saying, but I can't like internalize it. Just, I was so tired. And so I had to put it aside. So fast forward like another year, I still have my binder. I even set up a binder and everything. I was ready to go. But something was like, Hashem was like, you just gave birth. Slow down, lady. So that's what happened. Then so I had to put it on pause. But then fast forward, a good friend of mine wanted to do coaching. She was talking about coaching schools. I'm like, you've got to check out Rivka Malka's. Like, go for it. So I was guiding people to you. In the meantime, like, hey, I want to join too. So anyway, it literally happened. I was like, that's it. I'm jumping in. I kid you not. Your husband will testify to this. 5 minutes before coaching school started, I'm like, I want in. I need now. This Hashem was like plopping me down. Go. Yeah. 5 minutes before the first call started, your husband's like, he sent me a message. Here's the link. Get on. We'll take care of the details later. Go. It's starting now. So that was it. Whoa. I joined and I'm in round 6 and it's amazing. Yeah, no looking back. I keep laughing. Like Hashem was like, you're not going anywhere. This is where you need to be right here, right now. So it was very clear that I needed to be here, but I was open and ready to be here. And that felt so great.
Unbelievable. Wow. I love how that happens. I love those moments where you're like, it's now and you got to jump in. And it's like such a strong push that the clarity is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I have a question. It's really a curiosity question. You came into coaching school understanding people in a deep way, having raised a family, just getting connected with yourself and even creating a business and knowing how to hold space. So I'm actually curious, what have you gotten that is adding to that? In other words, there's part of you that was a natural coach, that was naturally coaching couples. What's different now?
Honestly, yeah, it's a big question. But the big piece is listening so much better. Even though I felt I knew a lot and I could intuitively pick up on what was, being given over to me with the families, I have learned a lot more about listening. And that has truly like rippled into my personal life. And you know who the biggest person I have to listen to is myself. I was so like about serving others that I was quieting my own voice. And that's where my breakthrough came through. Like I'm listening to my voice. I'm listening to what do I need? What do I want? I have to doula the doula and that little doula inside me needs doulaing. So I truly felt like, wow, I'm starting to listen, to slow down not in a productive way. I'm still doing lots of stuff, but I slowed down internally and listen, what am I feeling? If I have like a trigger, I'm able to slow down and look at it as a trigger and really recognize what it is and kind of like to break down this whole process inside me to see where it's coming from and where it's going to go to. And that has helped me have that my own internal voice kind of it was there quiet. It was almost like fine tuning a radio. I had to turn up the volume on that. And that's what I needed. I needed to turn up the volume on my own personal healing and growth journey And from that, I say I can serve so much better. You know, I just
Mhm.
came back from a birth just yesterday, and I noticed how I interacted. I was able, instead of thinking I knew what would be right, I said, here's some choices. What sounds right to you? And that was straight
Yeah.
from coaching school, you know, and that's amazing. Um, and how I present it is just different. So it's received better. I hope, I pray.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big moment for me to hear my own voice. That was really big.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, Shoshana, I'm so happy that you said that. First of all, I'm happy as your friend because it's a nice thing to be able to slow down and tend to the heart on the inside. And from there, all these beautiful actions come from, and sometimes they're very fast. But like if inside could be kind and attuned to and managed, oh, it's just delicious.
Yeah.
Um, and also two more things that you said I'd love. One, you said that with your client, you were able to say, here are some choices. What do you want? And I just love that. I mean, for people who are listening, that is so coachy because there's this deep belief that most of the work is supporting people with finding the answers that are inside of them. Sometimes people need a little help or guidance or education, and that can come in there also. But really to give people the respect and the guidance to look inside themselves. We say you're, as a coach, you're like just holding a flashlight so a person could look within, and it's much more helpful than you telling another person what to do. And also the action that they take is going to be that much more powerful. They're going to be that much more invested. Human beings don't like to be forced. We don't, it's
No,
not so respectful, no. So even just the gentleness of how you asked that, what was your language again?
I just said like here are some choices because at the end of the day, I do have the medical not I'm not a medical personnel, but I have the physiological, psychological knowledge to support a family in labor. And
Yeah,
especially if it's their first time, they're like, what do I do now? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And so here are some options. What feels right for you? Like here are some choices.
yeah,
So giving them those choices is my job, is to educate them and to say, here's a platter, choose what you'd like, you know, what feels right. We can change it as it goes on. And yeah, we even laughed about it because I
hmm,
just a funny side story. She at one point like she wanted certain music, and her husband's like, "Oh, I have a great song," and he played the Little Nishamala song. And she's like,
uh-huh.
"I love that song, but turn it off. I need silence now." And then she looked at me and laughed. She's like, "Ooh, I knew exactly what I needed right there." I'm like, "Yes, you
Woohoo!
did." And her husband was like, "Yeah, she did. Okay, honey, I'll save it for later." Like it was so
Yeah,
cute, but she was able to hear her own voice, like, "Oh, I have choices."
yeah,
Wow, that was like a big idea. Like, oh, but you guys are the professionals, you know, the medical team and this, the doula, the
yeah.
support. But I have choices in this. And to me, I was like, yes, you do. I want to shout it from the rooftops. You have choices. You have options. You get to experience what you'd like to experience as much as possible, you know.
Wow, yeah. Oh, your excitement is awesome, Shoshana. I
It's hard
love
to
it.
contain.
I
No,
love
I
it.
really do feel good about like
Yeah,
seeing the families blossom because afterwards, like, wow, you see the couple is transformed. You
yeah,
know, even if it's not right away, they're kind of like just landing from the
yeah,
shock of having a baby. It's more like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, we did this together. Wow.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
huge. Yeah.
That's very, very special. Yeah. I love that you're talking about the couple because in healing work, you never want to take a woman on her own journey, like in such a way that leaves out her family system. Sometimes that can happen where a woman is literally like going away from her family because she's so immersed in self. It's actually kind of a natural thing that can happen. And what
Yeah.
we try to teach in this school is how all the skills that are in the coaching language and this beautiful communication, if you have choices and I want to hear you, you bring them to your family so that the whole structure gets healthier and more, not just healthier, like kinder. Have you
Yeah.
experienced that?
Yeah. In fact, when you're saying that, I'm hearing that little guilt feeling, but I was like, no, it's not guilt. I recognize it. I'm the type of person that when I am excited about a project, I nothing stops me. I'm just going, going, going. But then I had to slow down and say, okay, I'm a mom. What does my family need? They need dinner. They need clean laundry. Slow down. Write it down. Don't lose the momentum. Write down the energy. Write down the excitement. There's going to be a space for it. But first, make sure you're doing what you need to do as well. And truly, that was empowering because I was opening myself to realizing I have a role in the family that I can't ignore. And at the same time, they respect back that when I do need to leave and I do need to go and I guess, chase my passions, but truly help families that need me in that moment, they're able to support me back. So that's what I've seen, like really listening to what's needed, it has been a huge part of my healing journey. So yeah, that's where it's manifested for me for sure. Like slowing down, looking at what's actually needed, what do I want? Reminding myself of that there's a way to do things.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Having that passion is
Wow.
great, but it's got to be guided
Yeah.
sometimes.
Wow.
So,
I give you a lot of credit for that. That is very hard work. I mean, from my experience, when you get a passion, or I like to call it a vision, sometimes that word makes people feel weird. Well,
yeah,
I think of it as a vision, like you can see something, and that seeing that you have on the inside makes you want to like run and take all the steps to make it happen. It's normal. I mean, I think it's normal to get out of balance at the beginning. I say it's like when you get into a car and you rev up the engine, then you can take your foot off the gas a little bit. But of course, at the beginning, it's got to rev up, and life is not just like one smooth little stream. So, you got to rev up the engine, take the action, and it's easy. And I know I've certainly tasted these places to just keep the engine revved for a long time, because you are on mission. And it's
yeah,
so beautiful when you can relax and say, okay, and this mission that I meant to produce is also the same mission as who I meant to become. And and who I want to become is balanced, present, a mother. I don't want to lose things that are precious to me, for this mission. All of this is part of the mission, and just kind of remembering to look back and pick up those pieces of yourself. I mean, I happen to be a person that like I've had to work on this so much because I can run really fast and then really slow down. So I tend to think of it like, you lose a piece of yourself quite naturally in something new, and then you find it again. I don't know if everyone has to do the losing finding process. Maybe some people don't. What do you think?
yeah. That's an interesting question. Um, the word that keeps coming to mind is embrace. This is why I chose that
Okay.
word. But
Yes.
we have to embrace the passions, like make a bigger hug, like take it all in, like
Nice. I
just
like that.
embrace it.
Yeah.
So like the different pieces of us, like some things are more highlighted,
Yeah.
but they're all in there. So
Yes.
yeah, like it's a great question. How do we like encompass or embrace everything in our lives to create it to be like a flow in our life? And
Yes.
like you said, you could rev up that engine and sometimes slow it down. But a lot of times, like you have to like kind of look at where is
Right.
everything. But
Right.
sometimes that energy is needed. Sometimes things do have to be put aside so that you could get that jump
Yeah.
start going. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I
I
love
think
that. We
keeping,
could make a little visual of it. Like there's the jumpstart visual, but then there's the embrace visual. And
yeah,
it's just like uh, it all, if I think, God forbid, that I'm the one in control of the world, then I will
right,
not be able to stop with my jumpstart. My jumpstart, I will think, I need to keep going or everything will fall or it won't happen. But if I'm
right,
just in Hashem's world and He's got it covered, and my job is to embrace everything and just like do the best I can, kind of like, embrace is soft, like we dance with it. It's not going to
yeah,
be perfect, but we're trying, and all the pieces will settle.
yeah.
I really think we can have more balance, more choices. I like that.
And like that metaphor that you're saying with like the jump start, you're thinking of a car. It's like if we have, I'm going from here to there, and I've got to just drive, drive, drive. You can slow down and look out your windows, like look at the view
Yeah.
that you're like
Yes.
passing by as you get to there. And that's part of
Yeah.
that process. Like part of the process of getting to that spot, the beauty of it is, what does that process look like there's so many
Yeah.
things to look at along the way. So
Absolutely. Oh, don't
yeah.
get me started. Once you say that, Shoshana, that's like mind blowing because the process is the point.
Yes,
You
exactly.
understand? Like we think getting there is the point. That's really something that Hashem is doing. What He's
Right.
doing, what the gift He's giving to us is the opportunity to engage in the process of life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wow, thank you for opening that. That was really profound. Wow.
You inspired it.
So,
You inspired that metaphor. It's great.
oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, just looking out the window. I'm doing that right now. I'm actually just looking around my room and be like, this is a good life. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're winding down, Shoshana, and there's just a couple of things I have to ask you a question, some
Okay.
questions about. Okay. So part of our 21 journeys is that we love to do 5 minutes of coaching. Are you up
Okay.
for that?
That sounds
Yeah.
exciting. Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So we're going to do 5 minutes of coaching. And what was the next thing, Shoshana? I don't know. You are our very first interviewee. It's really exciting for everyone to meet
Yeah.
you, and yeah, perhaps to join you. I think the second thing is like, why would you recommend someone to come to coaching school?
Yeah. Okay. So this was just a huge revelation to me. As much as I think I am a religious woman and I'm living a religious lifestyle, sometimes without realizing, I was like falling into a routine of get up, do this, do. And I was like, I'm always talking to Hashem. Do I ever sit there with a sitter, a prayer book, and constantly pray? No, but I'm constantly talking to Hashem. But then what? So then I kind of felt like, yes, I'm accomplishing things. I'm doing my best to be the best wife, the best mother, or the best that I can be at that moment, I should say. But then, hold on, just me by myself as a person, what am I doing to develop that personal growth? So for me, like that personal growth of like having that time to sit down, to write, to do the exercises, to trust me, I was the last person that felt like I have time to do this. But like I said, Hashem plopped me into it. So I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And the unfolding and the unlayering has been so big. Just doing the program has been huge. I was like, oh wow, I feel alive in a very internal way now. Before I was like
Mm.
externally alive, now I'm internally alive. Like it's like, right, I have a neshama, I have a soul, I have so much inside me without the roles and the different hats that I put on. Just me standing by myself with Hashem. What am I all about? And I feel like
Oh,
that's really given me the opportunity to experience myself and to learn to appreciate myself just by myself without any roles, just appreciate who
oh,
I am.
that's
So
incredible. That's such music to my ears. And I'm sure to anyone listening, it's like very, very special what you're describing.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you're listening, you may be wondering, like, what's all this work about? Well, one of the main tenets of the school is you can only take a person as high up on the mountain as you yourself have gone, which means that we're learning coaching skills, but then we are getting a lot of coaching in this school because we really want to help coaches develop themselves and be brave to meet themselves so that when they're sitting with another person, they can help another person bravely meet themselves. So that's
Yeah.
why Shoshana is talking about all this inner work. Okay, Shoshana, let's do 5 minutes of coaching. Not
Okay,
everyone knows
sounds
what
good.
coaching is. And one thing about coaching is it's just diving into the water. So we don't even know where we're going. This
Yeah,
is
I have no
not
idea.
planned or scripted. But I'm just going to ask Hashem, as we always do, say a little prayer before. And Hashem, please, this should be a sweet, transformational conversation. Be an honor to your name and an honor to Shoshana. Maybe they'll get an insight from it.
Man, thank you.
Okay. Whew. So a lot of what we're talking about over here is um, your personal development amidst all the great accomplishments that you have been blessed to have in your life. So, what is the theme that you can see about who you're becoming? If you could like
Mm.
imagine just there's like a chart, a growth chart, and there's a little line and it's going up, 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 up. Sometimes down, but basically up. What's the name of that chart?
Wow. Hmm. Forgiveness and awareness. Forgiveness and awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a forgiveness of, things that I have not done right, but an awareness of where I am. And that awareness is where that growth is going to come in. That's what
Mm.
we can tell ourselves, well, next time I'll do better. But if we're not aware of what is in our journey, we might not know how to do better next time. We've kind of put it on the same spot on the shelf.
Mm.
So yeah, just that forgiveness of, where I maybe can improve more, and an awareness that there is a place for improvement, and also kindness, like being forgiveness, awareness, and kindness chart. The
Okay.
kindness of where I can place kindness on it so that I can be happy in a good place to be aware of where I need to go. Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
coming to mind.
it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Can we stay with this chart another minute or two?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm seeing it together with you. And in your mind's eye, is it like, does it show up like on a computer screen? Does it show up like on a heavenly screen or on a bulletin board? Where are you seeing it?
So it's showing up on this like tear pad, like almost like a pad that you can, like a weekly to-do pad with all the
Okay,
days of the week and like things to connect. And then something that you can like, when you do finish that week, you can take off the pad and start a new pad.
wow.
That's what the vision that's coming up is.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Let's stay with it. So you have the tear pad, forgiveness because we're going to make mistakes, awareness of where you're growing, and kindness to support you in the process. And if you could imagine all these papers, maybe they're yellow or white, just stacking up, what do you imagine happening to them? Where do they go?
Mm. At first I thought of throwing it out, but in my head, but I was like, no, 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 don't throw it out. So don't crumple it up, but place it in a folder. Place it in a folder like a binder where I can go back and I would imagine like kind of like what I'm doing with coaching school on my own, like I'm highlighting certain things as we learn them, things that are popping out at me. I would highlight the awareness and the kindness piece. Like I'm very clear on what I'm doing. Like, not, I shouldn't say very clear, but I'm very like, oh, that amount of guilt that I have, I did this wrong. I did that. That's very clear. I don't need to highlight that. It's always there. But to highlight the like each week, what was my awareness? What was my kindness? To highlight that and kind of like, keep it in a folder. So it feels good to watch those steps of like, oh, I did apply that awareness here and I was kind about it. So it changed. It changed the way I dealt with it, or interacted with it or processed it. So kind of going back in time to see like every week, what was the growth? Um, yeah,
Whoa.
and hold the recognition
Whoa.
party. Like, wow,
Oh
look at
my
this.
gosh, I love it. Oh my gosh, a recognition party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
think it goes back to being a
So,
teacher. You put like little like, oh wow, guys, look what we accomplished. We accomplished this assignment. I put jars, little pebbles in a jar, and like the end of the year, like, look at all we did. Like I would do that with my students. Like,
yeah.
I think we need that. I need an awareness party or a recognition
Yeah.
party from all the things we're aware of. Yeah. How we've grown.
Totally. A recognition party. Okay, I love it. First of all, I love anything that has the word party in it. So, um, yeah, this recognition party, just imagine it for a minute. Imagine the good feeling that you have there. Maybe like even the papers are the centerpiece. You can make little flowers out of them, or you could just see them stacked up. Yeah. And imagine yourself being there. What opening is possible for you in your heart as you sit at that party or
Mm.
dance at that party?
I feel like it's like a coronation. Like I'm like, oh, I'm placing my crown on my head. Like these are all the things that I've like gleaned over time, and I see that as a crown. So that crown, it's like I can
Incredible.
like get up and every morning and say like, wow, like stand a little taller, feel better, and just say like, these are the things that I've taken with me from this world, and what I've gained every day. And like offer them like to Hashem, like here Hashem, here's my growth. And but do it like in a very queenly fashion. Like I'm a princess of Hashem, but I can be a queen in the world and the queen of my life. And that's what's happening. And that's what I imagine. Also, I just when you said like the centerpieces, I imagine like the papers like so I know you said like piles or flowers. So I was imagining them like like cones, like a cone
Hmm.
and placed in like these pretty cups, and the whole table is surrounded with like soft pink and cream flowers. Just all it was like a beautiful spring day, like a beautiful coronation, like a
Gosh,
celebration.
this is
Yeah, and a party.
gorgeous.
A part, so we have like yummy
Wow.
punch on the side because it's a party. So
Yeah.
we'll drink to it.
Oh, I love it. Is there any part of you that wants to actually make a recognition party?
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. Sounds really fun though. But yes, it's funny because I'm always looking for that thing that's gonna culminate my actions. Like I'm always, I would say
Yes.
as a business person, like I'm as a, owning a birth and childbirth
Yeah.
education and birth doula, what is the thing that's going to culminate it? And actually, I'm actually working on it right now. And I feel like that's like, I'm like, oh, this is where I'm going to like focus the energy to spread out like the knowledge and everything is actually, I'm starting to record a podcast and it's called the Embracing Birth Podcast. And
Ooh.
yeah, I think that's where I can celebrate a lot. Like I can bring in people that I've worked with or, nurses that
Yeah.
I've worked with or people to interview their stories, but to also have a place for my voice. It's like I have
Yeah.
a spot for my voice to land. And I
Mm.
can't control who listens, who will want to listen, but I have
Uh-huh.
to just put it out there. So that's like,
Whoa.
yeah, that's the coronation
Yeah.
party that I see, like celebrating starting
Wow.
a podcast. Yeah.
Whoa. I love it. So your recognition party is recognizing that you can speak because there's someone so valuable on the inside that her voice should be heard. She has things to
Yeah.
say, and you
Yeah.
recognize your own goodness, awareness, forgiveness, kindness. There's a queen in there, and she's got something to share.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
love it.
where
So you
that's
have
where
a
it comes
recognition
together.
party planned.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. We're going to wrap up here. I just want to do a quick recap and then we'll do a takeaway.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
So we started out by saying, what is the graph like that you see that would be the theme of your growth? And it was forgiveness, awareness with kindness. And then imagining that you actually like vigilantly daily kept track of all that awareness and kindness, that you are growing so much with. And then the idea of a recognition party, like do not just walk away from that, like own it. And then you found out, hey, I'm making a recognition party. It's going to be my podcast. So, first of all, how does all that land with you? And like, is there anything else that you need to say to make it complete? And then second thing is going to be, what is your one takeaway?
Okay. I think I'm like impressed by what I said. I was like, oh, did I say all that? Wow. Like you summed it up so beautifully. Like, oh wow, I said that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
recognizing that oh wow, I really do have a lot that needs to come out of me and hopefully in a good way. So I don't have anything more to add to that right now. But my takeaway, that's probably connected to the takeaway, is that I really just need to do it. I need to stop holding back and let it out package it beautifully, but to let go and to see where it lands, like to really to create it. My job is to create. My job is not the outcome. So I'm here to create whatever it is that needs to be created from what I've gained over the years and to bring it out. And it just ties in beautifully with the word leida, the word birth, in Hebrews. One of the families that I work with, she said leida, she's Israeli, and she's like, I don't know if you realize this, but leida is so good for what you do because it's leyad Hashem. You take the word leida
Wow.
and you do the
Beautiful.
lamed and yud and the dalet, and then the last letter is hey. She's like, leida is leyad Hashem. It's in Hashem's hands. We do what we can, but the process, like the outcome, is in Hashem's hands. And
Right.
so I was like, yeah, that's so meaningful. That's so meaningful. So
Wow.
that's my takeaway, that I really, it's time to do what I need to do. That's like my big takeaway, that with just a few guiding questions, you made me see this vision that I had no idea was even in there. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wow. You're welcome. And it is part of Hashem's process. You're called to do this. You have amazing things to say, Shoshana, amazing, kind and loving perspectives. And what did I want to tell you? Yeah, at another time when we coach, we can do like, how can you get support for that? How can you make it happen? What do you need to make it happen? Because that's also a part of it. For today, the seed was planted a long time ago. I'm sorry, I just have one more question. The
Yeah.
seed was already in your heart before we spoke. What happened to the seedling of this podcast today? Like, how do you envision it now?
So last night I made a pact with myself, even though I was exhausted from being
Yeah.
at a birth overnight. So like I'm just recording the trailer. It's all of 1 minute. And I did that. And part of where I got that accountability piece that you're talking about, how to get supported, that accountability was from one of the fellow ladies in the coaching school. So here's
Oh,
like an amazing story. She, we were kind of like, we're asking her who would like to be coached. Let's work together, different things. So she reached out to me and we started talking, and then she did a coaching session for me. And I was telling her about all these ideas I had. And sure enough, the podcast kept popping up. And she's like, I hear you. She's like, on a side note, out of coaching, I just want you to know I have a podcast. I can help you with all those details. And I was like, what? So she has, it's Vera, Vera. So she
yeah.
has a podcast. She's like, I was like, okay, thanks, Hashem. Like he literally, like
Oh
out
my
of all the
gosh.
people that called me, she
Yes.
already has a podcast and we had no
Yes.
idea about this with each other. So I was like, wow, okay, that's an amazing thing. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
So
Okay,
that
you're getting
accountability,
support.
she told me just focus on the podcast, things will branch out from there. Like she didn't tell me, but she guided me to see that this podcast keeps coming up. It's like it really is embracing or encompassing a lot of what I'm doing, like talking about a lot of the different things, bringing awareness of what's available to families. So
Wow.
whether through me or through others, we'll let them know that it's available,
Yeah,
you know.
it's game changing.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Shoshana. Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Shoshana, you're a brave woman to be our very first spokesperson for Women on a Healing Journey, and you are just gorgeous in your kindness and your passion. There's no hard edges to you. You really come in kind, and you really have just so much nurturing and wisdom inside of you. So it's incredible.
Thank
I'm
you
so
so
happy for
much.
the families that you're going to be helping and that you've been in our coaching school. I feel really,
Thank
really
you.
blessed.
Thank you for having
Okay,
me.
you
Thanks
bet.
so
We're
much.
looking out for your podcast.
All right. Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Bye bye,
Thanks.
everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for joining us.
Thanks.